Welcome, Sojourners. You have found yourself a cozy place here at Sojourners Awake. I'm Jonathan, and this is our production of The Bookish and the Brave. Times had darkened for the Bookends. They lost to the Black Lotus to Lord Basile, and lost Vaughn to a hellish plain. They now decide to make the long march homeward to Baldtop in defeat. A special thanks to Rhett from Stack of Dice Podcast for his amazing performance of Asyndeton. Last combat was no easy feat. He fell unconscious, requiring Sterling to spend a turn healing him, and then later he was blinded by the evil witch, Starblood. Overall, I think he has taken to the character well, and I have enjoyed watching him develop it. And so for now, our story continues. Back in Bonzaro, somewhere in the Regensee Pass, the sun rises over the east side of the mountains. And in the background, the Shadow Monastery fades for what could be another 77 years. Hawkins, the gnome, slings his crossbow over his shoulder and carries most of the pack gear, as well as the weight of the most recent events. On his shoulder rests the hand of Asyndeton, the elder bard, who stumbles along the rocky path, his eyes still blind from Starblood's curse. Sterling, the young druid, walks somberly behind them all. Aramonte holds tight to the hem of Sterling's robes and hums a soft tune. When Aramonte sees the elder bard stumble, she rushes over to Asyndeton and calls out, "Don't worry, I can guide you." She flashes her eyes in a high beam of light that disappears in the growing sunshine. The Sojourners continue to walk downhill the mountainside. Hawkins, how do you appear, and how do you proceed?
Hawkins is very introspective. He's trying to figure out what he could have done better. Still poring over the details of all the things that happened in the Shadow Monastery. What could he have done better so as not to fail? He's just, disappointed that he felt like they were so close. The Black Lotus was in our grasp. And there it went. So he's almost paying no attention to anything around him. As he's walking, really barely paying attention to anything, he stumbles a bit on a rock in the path, and Asyndeton, whose hand has been on his shoulder, they lose contact, and so Hawkins stands up quickly and turns back to Asyndeton and says, "I'm sorry, I'm here. I just haven't been paying attention to what's going on. I'm sorry."
When he feels Hawkins drop out from under his hand, he stops, grits his teeth, clenches his jaw. He feels the morning sun, but here in this pass, what time of year is this again?
It's early springtime.
Spring, yeah, so it's very cold up here. And he feels rather than sees, of course, the fine plume of moisture coming from his mouth as he breathes. But he definitely feels the warmth of the sun. He feels Aramonte's feathery grasp on his hand, and that at least gives him a little something to navigate by. But he is not in a talking mood at the moment. He is very much just grumbling, mumbling his responses to anything in a very uncharacteristically downbeat voice. And that's about it. He's not ready to communicate with anybody.
Sterling, how do you appear? And how do you proceed?
Still seeing that everyone's kind of off by themselves and noticing that Aramonte is now with Asyndeton, who's obviously needing help. He's just reliving the scene in his brain of Basile and Vaughn disappearing and trying to fight, but then the sandcastles, and just remembering that whole thing in the Shadow Monastery, how just strange it was, ethereal, and then thinking about the fact that they failed the mission. They didn't really feel convicted to be doing the mission as it was, and it seemed to be ended the way like it was going to be, as they couldn't really make up their mind whether or not they wanted to take the Black Lotus, or if they were just following orders, or if it was best to leave it alone. And then he remembers that he was the one, he had the chance to pick up the Lotus, but he gave it to the monks. And so he's going over in his head how the master of Boltop is gonna take that news, and he's not looking forward to that conversation. So his mood is also down and dark. But of course, looking at Aramente brings a smile to his face. Seeing them stumble, of course, he wants to run to their side, but they've got it, and keeps walking on.
The silence hangs heavy as you progress along the decline. The weights in your pack seem heavier than they were before, even climbing the mountain. And now somberly, you conclude the path, and the ground becomes level again. Aramante skips forward away ahead of the group and leaps upon a rock, pointing a viney finger towards the path, and calls out to Hawkins, "It's this way! Wait, where are we going?"
We just stay on this road for a good long time. Up ahead, maybe about probably a mile and a half or so, I'd guess. There will be a fork, and we're going to stick right at the fork.
Are we going home?
Yeah. We'll have to go get another mission, I guess, or at least stand by, give a report of what happened, try to figure out how we can get Vaughn back. I'm hoping Sylvia will know something.
The Sojourners walk along the path, with a steep cliffside on their right and a sheer rock face on the left. Suddenly, Vaughn, you return.
Oh, I gotta pull myself up. Does he hear the party?
No, but they might hear you.
Is anybody out there? Hello?
The Sojourners, you hear Vaughn's voice calling out over the cliffside to your right.
I want so much for him to be back. It's almost like I can hear his voice.
Hawkins! Hawkins!
What?
I'm stuck here on the side of the mountain. I'm trying to pull myself up, but I think my pant leg is caught.
Oh, guys, that's him.
When you run over to the cliffside, you peer over and see Vaughn hanging on a rock, white-knuckled, 300 feet above the ground.
I can't get my pant leg off of that tree root there. I'm trying to reach down, but I'm afraid I'm gonna fall. Can somebody grab my hands and help pull me up?
Vaughn, you are 10 feet away from the cliff's edge.
Guys, can you help me?
Everybody stop. I've got an idea.
Can somebody else help me?
So listen, it's a bit weird, but I think you'll like it. Like I'm gonna try and thorn whip him and pull him up with my thorn. Okay, so it's like a greeting him, welcome back, just by hitting him. Just a little bit.
I'm going to lose my grip. You need to hurry.
All right, let's have a look. All right, here, when I get him, you guys help me give him a pull, okay? And I hit him with an 18.
That's a hit. Vaughn, you feel this viney thorn whip around your wrist and instantly lock into place right as that root cracks and you feel yourself give way. Sterling, there's this instant tug as you feel all of the poundage of Vaughn yank on this magical connection you have to this vine. Nevertheless, he instantly zooms up 10 feet up into the air, and soon you have your beloved monk back in the party.
He opens his hands to try and catch him, but he's not that strong, so I think he just crumbles underneath it.
Vaughn's gonna land with a knee right in the middle of his chest.
And Vaughn can see that his wrists are bleeding a little bit. He took 4 points of damage, and he serves him right.
Vaughn's going to bend over and slap Sterling on the side of the face gently with his bloody wrist. Say, "Thank you, Sterling. Thank you. Thank you." And he's just gonna keep doing it as the blood's just getting on his face and on his hair and all that good stuff.
Good to have you back, mate. Hey, how come everyone keeps taking trips into like these different planes, but I'm stuck here? It's not fair.
You're welcome to take the trip the next time. This is not fun. Hey, where's Aramonte?
Aramonte bounds up, jumps on Sterling's chest, and leaps right into your embrace.
Oh yeah, huge hug.
Aramonte is now reunited with her father. Asyndeton, how do you appear?
Yeah, he has sat down. Now that Aramonte has left his hand, he just sits down and his head is hanging down. He's happy to hear. He's smart enough to realize what's happened. Vaughn is back, and he's still just kind of disconnected from everything.
Asyndeton, look, Vaughn's back.
Look.
Yeah. What?
He turns around and faces the other way on his rock.
Vaughn, picking up what happened, is going to drive his knee a little deeper into Sterling's chest and whisper, "I don't know what's going on, but that seems like that was a really bad thing to say." And then he's going to stand up.
Good to have you back, Vaughn. Did you happen to run into Lord Basile wherever you were?
No, was he wasn't with
Well,
you?
he was, and then he wasn't. He did some kind of plane shifty something, and I thought there was a chance he would have ended up right next to you, but I guess not. He left with the Lotus as well.
He has it.
Yeah.
But you are okay. And he looks at Sterling, who he knows is okay because he just got done smacking him around. And then he's talking to Hawkins, so then his gaze turns to Asyndeton. Asyndeton, are you okay?
I believe I will be fine, Master Vaughn. He stands up and he holds his hands out in front of him.
Vaughn walks over and takes them and looks into Asyndeton's eyes.
I think what you'll see is that they have a milkiness to them now. It's apparent that he is blind.
Asyndeton, your eyes, what happened?
We had a showdown with someone who reminded me of one of my teachers at Baldtop. And it did not go well.
That was she with Lord Basile?
I think so, yes. He spits.
That was the witch that Sterling talked about.
Yes.
Sterling, was it her?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Asyndeton's eye. Yeah, sorry, that was quite heartless of me a moment ago. But yes, it was Sylvia's sister. I'm gonna have some words with her when we get back to Baldtop.
Sylvia's sister? I thought you said it was the witch that was with Lord Basile.
Yeah, she was the one that raised me from the... I think that's why I had such a good bond with Sylvia. She reminded me of someone, but I guess she didn't want to talk about it, even though I kind of shared some secrets with her. So I said, we're going to have some words.
So, the witch that was with Lord Basile is your friend Sylvia's sister.
Yeah, it seems that way. And she did something to Asyndeton. I've been trying to minister to him, but it doesn't really seem to be working. He's having a hard time seeing.
I am so sorry, Asyndeton. I can guide you or carry you or whatever you would like. However,
Guide
I can
is
help.
fine, Master Vaughn.
Vaughn will extend his hand to Asyndeton and then place it on his shoulder. And he's got Aramonte in his other hand. And he's hugging her tight. And then he's looking at the other guys. Where are we off to now?
Well, I think we'll be heading back to Baldtop. We need to let everybody know down there that Lord Basile has the Black Lotus. It has some sort of resurrection power. That's what we gathered from the monks there and the non-Kwai monks. And he's got to have plans for it. So I can only assume that that information that we can provide will be very useful. But we're not looking forward. We're not in too much of a rush back. We're not looking forward to the conversation we're going to have. Letting it slip through our grasp.
Do you think there's a conversation to be had about the Black Lotus itself? I wasn't very comfortable with what we were asked to do, and I don't know if you were, but it seemed to me that the Black Lotus might have been best staying with those monks, and we were asked to bring it back.
We hadn't quite made up our minds, I don't think, about what exactly we were going to do with it. We were hoping to keep it out of Lord Basile's hands and then have a discussion with the monks about what to do with it. They wanted to resurrect their leader, who's been long dead and who had the power to plant the Black Lotus. So, I don't know. It's, I guess it's kind of moot now.
I guess we will cross that bridge when we get there. We should be moving in that direction. I'm sorry that I left you.
Yeah, don't you ever do that again.
Believe me.
Certainly was not your fault.
Well, thank you. If it's within my power, I will not. And I won't leave you either. He turns to Aramonte. I'm so sorry I left you.
Did you go see Mama?
No, I didn't see your mom, although I assume she might be there. She wasn't there when I was there, so I didn't see her. No, sorry.
Is anyone else noticing a pattern that every time we get in a big fight, Von's just always disappearing? I mean, is that just me?
We could get in a big fight right now, Sterling, and I will definitely not disappear. You just say the word.
That's convenient, but yeah, no. So where exactly were you?
The best I can tell is I was back in the abyss. It wasn't the place that I saw when I was there with Hawkins before, but it was very similar, quite disturbing. I saw my family there, and they were slaves. They were slaves that had accepted a fate of work to pay for their sins, and they have either been convinced by some evil that they were very sinful, or my family had a much darker history than I thought. But in any case, I did my best to get out of that place as quickly as possible. I went through a door that was supposed to be the exit, and I found myself hanging on the edge of the cliff over the lava abyss. And then my body did that same tingly thing that it did when I left you, and the next thing I knew, I was hanging on the hill, yelling for help, and you found me. Thank you for finding me.
You're making enough noise, anyone. But yeah, no, sure, mate. We got you.
We should go.
The Sojourners press on throughout the countryside. For days you travel on the rolling hills, foraging and rationing what supplies you have left. Soon enough, the weather changes for the better. The warm air blows over the countryside, and the sun changes its course with a bright light. You witness the busyness of the corkscrew highway, seeing caravans traveling north and south, but with greater levels of security, highlighting the days at hand of civil unrest. Soon, each of you receive the familiar blast of salty air from the Mauve Ocean and see the sparkling lights reflecting off of the dome of Baldtop Library.
So Sterling's taking this moment to kind of go between the people and be like, all right, so Skoda's going to be mad. So, I mean, we've only had a couple interactions with him, but it didn't seem like he was a very, forgiving kind of person. Remember when I made a few jokes and he didn't really like those? So he kind of ignored them, actually. But anyway, so let's make sure we all have our story straight, okay? It was that we were talking to the monks, but anyway, yeah. Why don't you tell me what you think the story should be? I'm going to try and stay silent again.
We got to the monastery just fine. Asyndeton led us straight to it. It was great. We detected that there was someone who was going to be there ahead of us. A couple someones. When we got there, the monks didn't seem to know anything about them. Weren't too happy about us being there, but agreed to talk to us. Turns out the guy who was the leader of them, Father Ragu, at one point was killed, and Lord Basile took on his appearance and deceived us. He attacked us. His companion Starblood was around somewhere. We thought we had taken care of Lord Basile, and we thought we were about to get the Black Lotus. In fact, we had our hands on it, but Lord Basile returned, and Starblood and him got the Black Lotus and got away from us. That's probably about the level of detail we need.
I like it. Can we leave out the fact that it was at the bottom of my feet and just say that that it just like the monk took it and went.
Yeah, well,
it's not a lying.
That's
I mean, right, Vaughn? It's telling the truth, but just kind of glazing over it a little bit.
I don't think we need to give full detail unless it's asked for.
A very wise policy, Master Hawkins.
Every story comes to an ending, so for now, we must conclude. Thank you for listening, Sojourners. Your attention will not go unrewarded, and we look forward to continuing this adventure. If you enjoyed this background music and ambiance, you should visit Tabletop Audio. Find them at www.tabletopaudio.com. And don't forget to take the time to sojourn with us. Go to your favorite podcasting platform, leave a rating and review. This will help others find us along their path. But however you choose to sojourn with us, as always, may your story continue. Back in 2018, I found a wonderful actual play podcast called Stack of Dice. And 2 years later, I fulfilled my inspiration that I received from this family-friendly podcast and produced my own podcast, Sojourners Awake. Today, I want to thank and highlight Stack of Dice for their wonderful example in the TTRPG community. Go listen to them at Stack of Dice podcast today on your favorite podcasting platform.